They look down on women from other nationalities when the only thing they are better at is earning money and education. Everything else they lose by a huge amount. We did a compilation of your unpopular opinions about Singaporean men the last video. So in this one, we are going to do the same for Singaporean women. Let's go. Every date must be cafe or restaurant, cannot go hawker. I have met girls like this, but I think the caliber of the date that the girl wants to go with you is representative of how she values the relationship. In a sense that, she wants you guys to enjoy yourselves and have a good time in a good atmosphere. But I have to say, right, cafe food is overrated. Most cafe food, right? Huh? And this is where one big difference between women and men come in, right? When women go out for food, they don't just look at the food, it's about the atmosphere, how quiet it is so that you guys can speak to each other, can communicate better. But for men, when we get food, it's value for money. I paid this price, I need to get at least this amount of food or this value of food, right? Whereas a lot of cafes and restaurants out there is like we are paying this much price for this value of food. So yeah, priorities. And it's not like we cannot talk to each other and form good connections in a hawker center, right? And I think that hawker centers are a huge part of us growing up in Singapore, right? So when you bring your date to a hawker center that you love and bring him or her to a food store that you really, really like, that can be meaningful as well. So it's really up to you how you give meaning to the date rather than using just the venue. Plus, of course, the added bonus that hawker food is cheap and good. So yeah, don't look down on hawker food. Okay, this is somewhat related. High maintenance and overspend for the gram. I think this is not just a Singaporean women thing. I think has a lot to do with the millennials and after, where a lot of us are influenced by social media, whereby people only post the good stuff. So we want to keep up a good image that we are eating good food, we are enjoying good life, we are traveling to nice places. And many people fall into the trap of overspending just to keep up with the image, right? And it's a vicious cycle because the more you post, the more you have to keep up with that image and the more you have to overspend. If you are being financially responsible, still have earning power and budgeted this out for spending the bit for travels, for luxury and for the gram, it's perfectly fine, right? The problem comes when you overspend your budget just to keep up an image to impress people that you don't even know. That's not healthy, right? So if you find yourself overspending or you have people around you telling you that you're overspending, number one, remember they mean well, so don't get too over defensive. And two, learn to spend within your means and don't overspend just because you want to keep out an image or you want to impress people. Don't have. Yeah, women gotta defend women. Too demanding, high-minded, but low-handed. Wait, let me check what he means by high-minded but low-handed. Okay, high-minded, self-consciously trying to present an appearance of grandeur or importance. So I think high-minded is like trying to keep up a good image, which is what we covered earlier. Low-handed, I only see poker terms like bad hand, but I think low-handed means they don't do much. I don't know, but I'm just assuming because high-minded, no-handed means all talk and no action, something like that. For this, I do have to side with the Singaporean women. They have earned the right to be demanding of their partners because Singaporean women have high earning power, they can spend and they can take care of themselves, so they don't need a man to fulfill them financially. So in a way, they have higher demand of men, and that should be their right. So if you're a Singaporean man trying to chase a Singaporean woman, make sure that you meet her demands, right? Because she has lots of choices other than you. And if she's a successful, beautiful, confident woman, it's very likely that her pool of choices of men are a higher caliber, and you have to at least compete with them. So yeah, I think it takes a lot more to impress a Singaporean woman. And at the same time, of course, Singaporean men are already of a higher caliber just because we are staying in Singapore and have been brought up by the Singaporean education system. And by saying that, I'm not being elitist or whatsoever. At least I hope I'm not coming off as being elitist. I'm saying that I think we are very lucky to grow up in Singapore. Most of us have had good lives growing up, had good education growing up, and compared to many other people around the world, I think we are very, very lucky. The only advantage they have over others is their earning power. Only is a little harsh, I think. But I think earning power is a huge plus, right, for Singaporean women. They know how to take care of themselves. There's less financial burden on the men because both of you can make an income together to build your family together. So while you think that it might be the only advantage, it still is a big one. And this is somewhat related to the next response. I separated it because it is a two-part sequence, right? So this person felt so strongly that he had to respond in two parts because there was a word limit in the reply. So here we go. They look down on women from other nationalities when the only thing they are better at is earning money and education. Everything else they lose by a huge amount. I think this person's point is a lot of Singaporean women have a superiority complex when it comes to comparing themselves with women from other nationalities. Now, I want to address this, but I also know that I need to be sensitive about it because when it comes down to dating Singaporean girls versus dating girls of other nationalities, a lot of us will link other nationalities to women from countries like Thailand, Vietnam, and I did have friends that asked me why do Singaporean men prefer women from Thailand and Vietnam over Singaporean women. The politically correct answer, of course, is it has nothing to do with nationality. They just click better, can connect better. So nationality has nothing to do with it. But we all know that's not the right answer, right? And a lot of women have this assumption that these Singaporean men are unable to fulfill the demands of Singaporean women, which is why they date these women from the less well-off countries because their demands are not as high as Singaporean women, so Singaporean men can reach them. I would say there's some truth in it, but that's not always the case. Like what I said in the previous video, a lot of us have been brought up in an environment and society whereby a man's value has a lot to do with his earning power. So when a lot of Singaporean women who have high earning power, they don't really need that financial assistance from a man, they take away something that a Singaporean man is proud of or base his self-worth on. So when he meets someone that values his earning power, of course he will treasure that relationship more. And when she brings in a lot of other elements to the relationship, the Singaporean man will value this side more. Of course, I'm not saying Singaporean women don't bring other things to the table other than earning power. But if all else are the same and Singaporean women have earning power, the other nationalities don't have that much, And of course, if the Singaporean man can provide for the whole family, he is very likely to pick someone who values his earning power more. So yup, that is my explanation for why Singaporean men might prefer women from other nationalities. I hope I managed to navigate this response without offending anyone. They think they're princesses but behave more like evil queens. I think how a woman behaves heavily depends on how you treat her. Like if you treat her well, she's going to return the favor 10 times. If you treat her badly, she's going to give you back 10 times the hell as well. And I think women should be treated as princesses. And that is not about buying expensive gifts, spending lavishly on her. It's more about how you treat her well, respect her, care for her, like she's the most important woman in your life, and she should be. So if you're in a relationship and you treat her really, really nice, but she behaves like an evil queen and takes advantage of you, she doesn't deserve your kindness, right? I think most women will react well to their man being nice to them. So if you're not receiving the kind of reaction from your partner, you have to talk to her and understand what is going on, why is she reacting this way, and how she can improve on it, right? Because a lot of times she doesn't even know that you don't like the reaction that she is giving you. So you have to talk to her about what you like and how you expect her to react to you. They have earning power and yet still want the guy to treat every time. I think for most relationships in Singapore at least, you do see more 50-50 going Dutch. But in the initial stages, of course, I think we as men, we should pay for definitely the first date. Then after that, it's see how it goes, right? So every time is a little bit too much, to be honest. If you are stuck in a relationship whereby you are expected to pay every single time, you have to talk to your partner about it. And I think that the best way to do that is to talk to your partner and tell her that, moving forward, you envision them to take the relationship to the next level. So while you are happy to treat her for every date so far, moving forward, you want it to be more of a shared expenses. And I think most women with earning power won't say no to that. Judge what you should do with the relationship according to her responses. Because dates, you can afford paying for the two of you. But when it comes to big expenses like your wedding, your house, your renovations and whatnot, she shouldn't expect you to pay for everything. So have a discussion with her as to how expenses should be allocated when it comes to the two of you. And I think if your partner is very willing to take the relationship to the next level, this will be a conversation she is very willing to have. That is one solution that you can consider. So yup, those were the responses that I got for unpopular opinions about Singaporean women. Of course, disclaimer, these are unpopular opinions, so they are going to ruffle some feathers. But of course, these are not representative of Singaporean women or Singaporean men. It's just personal opinions, and some of them are just tongue-in-cheek, they're just joking. So yup, take it with a pinch of salt. Do let me know what other topics you want me to cover next. And if you want to respond to the next hot topic, go to my Instagram and I will collect responses right after this video has been posted. With that, thank you for coming to the end of this video. Sending you lots of love. See you in the next one.